Welcome to Getting Aligned, a human design podcast where we dive into the endless journey of self-discovery using human design. This podcast is created for individuals who want to know how human design can assist them on the road towards self-awareness, healing, and personal growth by uncovering the unique blueprint that shapes each of us. From practical insights to profound revelations, Getting Aligned will be your companion on this transformative journey as we collectively step into our purpose. Whether you're new to human design or a seasoned explorer, there's something here for everyone. So, grab your favorite beverage, settle into something comfortable, and let's embark on this adventurous journey of self-discovery together. It's time that we all rediscover who we were born to be. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Getting Aligned. I am your host, Jimmy Jam, and for today's episode, this is something that was truly inspired as a result of the new moon that we just experienced. I feel like as we all continue to live our design and learn to let go of what does not serve us, what's not unique for us, what's not meant for us, it really can give us the ability to be more open to new idea, new experiences, and all of the things that are aligned for us. So the week prior to the new moon was particularly challenging for me. I really entered into the week in my not self, in my projector bitterness. And in the beginning of my experimentation, I would really judge myself and criticize myself for feeling bitter because I was like, well, what does this then mean? I am still struggling with bitterness. And I really had to let go of that, but I allowed myself to remain cognizant of where it was coming from. I allowed myself to take the week off from content, from work, and I began to deeply pour into myself as I will always do. And when I stepped back and did that, I really began to watch the magic unfold over the course of last week. And it really brought me to today's topic for this episode. So, Thursday, the new moon, we experienced the new moon. And when I got to work, I started to continue to journal, deconditioning, working on what was still triggering me from the previous week, what I was still holding on to, again, the not self theme. I was getting ready for my first group. I realized I didn't prep for this group. I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? I didn't prep. What do I do? So, in true not self fashion of trying to find inspiration from other places, I started to look to some of my coworkers and try to find some answers. Luckily, that I was so lucky that they were actually all busy because the moment I started to look outside of myself, I happened to just look down at my clipboard and I had a worksheet that I had presented to the group a couple of weeks prior, and it was on the biosocial theory. So, the biosocial theory comes from a style of therapy called dialectic behavior therapy. It is a skills oriented approach to being able to handle different challenges in your life. And the theory in DBT is that anyone that is coming in and needs support, they are either struggling with interpersonal relationships, and so we're teaching interpersonal effectiveness skills. They are struggling to handle high intense stress, and so we're teaching them the stress tolerance skills. They're struggling with maybe handling their emotions, and so there's some emotional regulation skills. And at the root of it all, we're teaching them core mindfulness skills, really helping them to be present and be able to understand and identify what's coming up for them. So I happened to just look down at this worksheet, and all of a sudden, like a light bulb, things started to come to me. And I allowed inspiration to come to me without stressing about, who can I get this information from? And so as I started to think about literally like a minute before group, I'm going back to my office, I'm grabbing my materials, and I'm going into the group room, and I'm like, "Ooh, this is great. I'm gonna be able to tailor all of this to, feeding a little bit of what I know of human design." And it just was really, again, a magic to witness and experience in that moment. And I started to fuse this information in with what I have come to understand through the human design system. And it really shaped and gave me so much more insight. So the biosocial theory really tries to help people understand what are the biological and sociological factors that really influence our ability or our inability to tolerate our emotions. And now knowing what I know about individuals who are defined or undefined, again, this is all about, I'm actually speaking about the solar plexus in today's episode. Now that I know more about, individuals who are defined or undefined, I'm able to take a lot of my training experience as a mental health therapist and really fuse it into this beautiful, beautiful system. So this episode is dedicated to all of us who are, again, defined and undefined, right? About 50% of the world has a defined solar plexus, therefore they have emotional authority. And there's 50% of the world who are undefined, they do not have an emotional center, and there's beauty in both. Again, in human design, someone who is undefined, you're often taking in the emotions of everyone around you, and you are able to basically to be a pulse check on others, to be able to figure out, wow, is this person emotionally in a good space or not? The challenge that I had to learn as someone who is undefined is I had to recognize when I was taking others in and maybe amplifying those emotions. Before coming into this system, I really held on to those thinking that they were my own. And for those who are undefined, you may have experienced going around people and feeling vastly different moments, like moments before you were completely fine, and then as you entered spaces you started to feel emotionally different, and then you would be like, well, I'm not sure what's happening, and then you would try to make sense of it and try to find meaning. That's a lot of what the mind does. The mind tries to make meaning of why we may be feeling the way that we feel. And so you might have then experienced when you leave a space, all of a sudden you're back to neutral. That is very consistent for someone who is undefined. And so you would experience this neutrality and maybe feel, I'm pretty neutral all of the time. What does that mean? Again, the mind trying to find meaning of your experiences. The beauty in being able to be undefined is that you have the truest sense of being an emotional empath. I know that's a big buzzword that's thrown around, where everyone's like, oh, I'm an empath, I'm an empath, and I'm an empath. This has never been so true for those who are who are undefined in their emotional or solar plexus center, because you are taking in someone's experience, regardless of whether or not you actually experienced that event happening, and you literally feel what they feel in real time. So that is so incredibly powerful. Now, for those who are defined in their solar plexus or emotional center, you are consistently feeling your own emotions. This was a huge revelation to the people that I've read their human design charts and given them human design readings, to be able to put a name to this and be able to say, listen, when you're experiencing a high or a low, when you're experiencing any emotion, it is always your emotion. It is coming from inside of you. It is not coming from external. It's not coming from other people, rather. Yes, you may still have we all will experience what's considered like reactionary emotions to major events. That is for anyone, again, defined or undefined. But for those who are defined, you're not taking in other people's emotions as much as you are feeling your emotion. So when someone's coming to you and they're sharing an experience with you, it isn't that you're feeling their emotion, it's you're experiencing an emotion that has happened inside of you because you have this emotional center defined. You've experienced you've experienced the entire range of emotions. You've experienced the low lows, the high highs, and so you're relating to them because you have experienced a moment in time in which that emotion occurred in you. I hope that makes sense. So you're relating to people not from an empathetic standpoint, but more of a like sympathetic standpoint of like, wow, I really know what that feels like. Whereas again, an emotionally undefined person may have had no experience with that event that the person is going through or describing, but they're truly embodying the essence of that. But what is consistent for defined emotionals is you are feeling your own emotions day in and day out. And there is such a beauty in having a defined emotional center because you actually have the ability to have such a high level of emotional intelligence. And those who are undefined, you have the potential to have a high level of emotional awareness. Again, remember, you are an emotional thermometer or gauge for others. You're able to basically sense if people are handling their emotions effectively. It's probably what led me into the mental health field and system is that I am, sensing and being able to feel what other people are feeling. I'm feeling if they're coping in a healthy way or not. And the danger in this is, which I'm going to have a whole different episode on substance use because there's such a stigma about how, and I'm going to dive into that actually. So let's go back to those who are defined emotionally. Let's talk about some of these conditioning points for you. Some of these high points of conditioning for those who are emotionally defined. You may have grown up in an invalidating environment. People may have stigmatized emotions around or just made comments or they didn't validate you if you were experiencing highs and lows. And for you, that may be like, again, it may be something's wrong with you for experiencing highs and lows, or what's wrong with you may be a question that you get all the time. Why are you feeling the way that you're feeling? And for you, it is so consistent for you to just say, I'm in an emotional wave right now. I don't have to have a reason. I don't maybe because you won't even know why you're feeling until you get into human design. You really like, I don't know. So the mind trying to answer for you, because that's what people want to know, is like what's causing you to feel this way. You trying to go into your brain and figure out what's the cause. It's actually creating a lot of that resistance to just moving through your emotional wave. So that is a big point of conditioning for individuals who are emotionally defined. If you are in an invalidating environment where people maybe stigmatize mental emotions or mental health, or people constantly asking you why you're feeling the way that you feel and you're not able to communicate that. So you then again think about what's wrong for me. But being able to just accept that you are in a high or a low is going to be so right for you. It's going to be so right for you. When I was meeting with a client and we were talking about emotions, I said, let me tell you how beautiful this is. You get to experience and create a beautiful tapestry of emotions. And that truly resonated with the client. They're like, you're so right. Like each time I experience an emotion, it's like I'm putting the needle and thread to a quilt, to a tapestry, and I'm creating something new. And I don't need to know what the end product is going to be like. I just get to know that I'm creating something beautiful. And so a great mantra for you can actually be, I am here to experience a beautiful tapestry of emotions. If that feels good for you, lean into that. I invite you to lean into that. And a big part of conditioning for those who are like me, who are undefined, this might be that you're too sensitive. Because remember, you're generally going to be feeling neutral unless a major event happens. And when you're around people, all of a sudden you're going to be hit with something. You're not going to know what's going on. Again, the mind is just like, well, there must be something wrong with me. What just happened in my life? We're trying to catalog and put a label to why we feel the way that we feel. And like, let's put the label maker down. You might just be experiencing and picking up something from from what's going on around you. Again, you're amplifying other people's emotions, so you feel what they feel times two. For me, I actually lived with two emotional beings, and they had two different emotional waves, and so I felt what felt like times four of what was going on. So, in the immediate reaction for me was, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And it's like you're just feeling other people, and you're amplifying it. It's not your own. It doesn't mean anything other than this is just what they're feeling. So the journey for those of us, again, who are undefined is to maybe take note of when you feel off and just do a pulse check to see who you may be around. And if you feel comfortable, if you have that relationship or whatever it may be, you can ask how they are, ask them what's going on, ask them if there's anything going on that they want to talk about. You don't have to like pry into them. Again, depending on your type, that could be very repellent. But just be a pulse check for people because maybe they don't know, but don't embarrass them. Don't shame them for feeling their emotions. Absolutely not, because their emotions, again, are beautiful. But you can ask and just check in. But regardless of whether or not you're defined or undefined or open, we don't always have to try to figure out what's going on. So that may be even more helpful for all of us. It's just like not saying, where's this coming from? Who am I around? Like we can learn to just let go of it and just accept and say, there's an emotional experience happening. This doesn't have to mean anything. A good mantra for someone who's undefined is I'm here to observe and reflect back the beautiful tapestry of emotions in others and do so without judgment. So I really want to lean into not judging. So I really hope that something in today's episode resonated with you. And, just I hope there was something in there that you could take away as I've been able to take away over the last couple of days. You know the drill. If you really feel called, like, rate, leave a review, all that jazz. You can find me on the socials at Aligned HD. I am definitely loving and can't wait to connect with you. If there's any questions that you may have for me, you can email me at hello@alignedhd.com and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Other than that, have a great week. I'm so excited this week. I'm actually jumping into my online yoga teacher training program. And so working my way on to creating and building and being able to mix all these wonderful things that I love. So I'm super excited for everything that's coming up this week. And I really hope that you all have a great week. And I hope that you had a wonderful, wonderful holiday. I, again, look forward to seeing you all next week. Have a great one. Bye.